Terumot, Perek Aleph, Mishnah Vav. Sixth Mishnah in the first chapter of Terumot. Okay, we're going to continue discussing who can and cannot designate Truma, or actually in this case it's not can or cannot, but should or should not. It says in Mishnah, Chamisha lo yitromu, v'im tarmu trumatam truma. 5 people should not lechatchila separate Truma, but if they did separate Truma, then trumatam truma, then the Truma is considered designated. And who are the 5? Ha'ilaim, someone who's mute. Hashikor, someone who's drunk. Ha'arom, someone who's naked. Hasuma, someone who's blind. Ubal keri. Someone who's a Baal keri means someone who had a nocturnal emission. I'll explain what this is talking about in a minute. Chamisha lo yitramu, who are these people? Ilaim. Why not Ilaim? Okay, says the Bartanura. Someone who's mute. Who's shomea? He hears. Ella shenishtatek machmat choli. For whatever reason, he has some illness, prevented him, took away his power of speech. Lo yitrom, he should not make a bracha. He should not take off truma. Lefisha eno yachol levarech, because he can't make the bracha because he's an ilaim, he's mute. Similarly, ha'arom eno yachol levarech. Okay, the person who's naked also can make a bracha. Shtichtiv, it says lo yira bicha ervat davar. Okay, it shouldn't be seen ervat davar, nakedness in you. B'shasha ta medaber bo, lo yira bicha erva. You can't make a bracha. You can't read Torah when you're naked. Ubal keri. So this is, if you look back in Brachot, the very beginning of the first, I think the second chapter or third chapter about Brachot, a Baal keri is someone who had a nocturnal emission. And there was a gzeira. Ezra Sofer made a gzeira. He made a decree. And anyone who's a Baal keri couldn't make Brachot and couldn't learn Torah. Okay, and then there were a bunch of Mishnayot, a couple of Mishnayot that we saw that dealt with this question of, let's say, Zman Kriyat Shema coming here, Baal keri. So similarly, in the time of the Mishnah, Baal keri was prohibited from making a bracha. He had to think. But since he can't make the bracha, therefore he's not able to take off truma lechatchila. So the Bartanura explains, Nami bizman takana. That was the time of the takana. This is also dealing at the time of the takana. Mekame de bitlua. Before they negated, before they canceled it. Nowadays, that gzeira doesn't appear. We don't have the idea of a person who's a Baal keri not saying Kriyat Shema, not learning Torah. And in fact, that's why you might know some people. Sometimes Chabadnikim, some other Hasidim, they're very makpid, they're very careful, meticulous about going to the mikveh in the morning. And it's because of this gzeira that even though that we don't keep to anymore, that was negated. Okay, but nonetheless, during the time of gzeira, lo matzim bevarech, he can't make the bracha. Okay, what about shikor and suma? What about the drunk person and the blind person? Eno yodim livor min hayafeh. So someone who's drunk can't choose well. Can't choose properly. It's also someone who's blind, obviously. V'anan ba'ina, and we require sheha toreim borer v'toreim mina yafeh. He has to be toreim, has to take off truma from the yafeh, from the good stuff. Shneim dichtiv, as it says, mikol chalbo et migdasho. Okay, it says in the pasuk, where we mikol chalbo et migdasho. What I'm looking actually, I was looking the Bartun in Yud Chet, mikol chalbo et migdasho. Hold on one second. Here we are, Bamidbar Yud Chet. Chavtet, Mikol mandotechem tarimu et trumat Hashem. From all of your gifts you should give trumat Hashem. Mikol chalbo mikdashot mimenu. Mikol chalbo from the chalef, from the fat, from the choice. So therefore, in our Mishnah, it's the same idea. Okay, the blind person and the shikor, the drunk person, can't give mikol chalbo from the chalef, from the good stuff. How drunk must you be? Not a drink or two, but if you can't speak before the king because you're so drunk. Nonetheless, all of these people, so we said, the ilaim, the mute can make a bracha. The shikor can't choose well. The arom, the naked person can make a bracha. The blind person can't choose well. Baal keri and the Baal keri couldn't make a bracha during the time of the gzeira. All those people, lo yitromu, they shouldn't take off truma. But v'im tarmu, truma tam truma. If they did take off truma, then the truma is appropriate because the bracha is not me'akev. And even the idea of mikol chalbo is l'chatchila, you should give the best. If you didn't give the best, still it's considered truma. We'll stop here. If you have any comments or questions, as always, feel free to contact me at arspolter@gmail.com. And I'm dedicating this learning to the memory of my father, Rav Simcha ben Yitzchak Kalman. Have a great day.